he said, just bring her home. Bring her home. We'll figure it out. So my dad drove me to Kentucky, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Landed there with my mom, and here, are you ready for the sweet ending to this story? We lived happily ever after. It was great. No, that's a lie. It was terrible. She's like, dang it. It was awful. What in all this? I'd agreed to come home, right? But I wasn't facing the carnage that I had done. I wasn't facing all the trauma I had to deal with. I was just like, okay, God, I'll do this, but that's about it. And I remember walking in that door that day and thinking, oh, no, I don't want to do this. It wasn't easy. It was heart-rending. I was so miserable when we came back. And even my husband, what pain and agony does he have to deal with? Like, he has to know his wife's been with another man. She's been living with someone else. I've signed over his kids. And yet he's like, I don't know, we'll just figure it out. And so we were two idiots trying to figure it out without God. It was not good, right? It was not good. And I'm going to try to wrap this up. I'm going to get to a point. I'm trying. Are y'all okay? Okay. All right. So in that, God worked such a masterpiece. In that, my neighbor across the street, I knocked on her door. This was God, right? These are God moments. I knocked on her door, and she went to the church. My husband was going to church without me then. Before I moved there, he was going to church, and I think that was strictly my mother. She was like, we will go to church. And so, she drug his butt to church. There was not an option. And the neighbor across the street, her husband was a deacon there. They were very invested in the church. And I walked over and I knocked on her door, redhead. Gosh, I love her to pieces. I'm hoping next week y'all get to meet her, okay? This is my beautiful chaos friend, okay? We've been through everything together in the past 10 years. And she opened the door and I look at her and she was like, hi. She knows my whole story, right? My mom has shared it. And I'm just staring at her. And she goes, you want to come in? And I was like, I have no idea why I'm standing here. And she was like, I don't either, but come on in. And I just vomit everything that has happened over the past 6 months into her. I'm just whoa, this is where I'm at. And she was like, I have never experienced any of that. And I was like, yeah, I figured. Not many have. Nobody signs up for this one. And I was like, she goes, but you know what? Our pastor, he has. And I was like, what? She was like, our pastor, he's experienced having an affair. He's walked through this. I think you should go talk to him. And I was like, you're cute. And I was like, well, it's nice talking to you. I'll go back to my house. And I was bitter and I was angry and I was ready to run. My goal had changed from being home to, if I could get him to sign the kids back over, maybe I could still run again. That was my mind. That was my mindset. I was like, I don't know if this marriage thing is to work, but I want my kids back. I'm awake now. I want my kids back. And so that's where it had changed. And so I was thinking, how can I get his trust enough to get the kids back to get out of here? And so I was not thinking about getting in the game at all with my marriage at that point. And so I'm driving to go spend my husband's money. Oh yeah, I'm a great person, okay? I've changed a lot. God, thank you. Still spend my husband's money. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm driving down. There's one way out of Fort Campbell to go to all the shops, and I'm driving. Our church was on that road, and I'm not kidding. I'm just parked in front of it. And I was like, the heck am I doing here? I was going to go shopping. And I was like, this is stupid. And the pastor walks out to my door, and I roll down the window, and he was like, I'm not usually here today, but I feel like this was a God thing. You want to come in? And I was like, oh, no, I don't. I don't want to come in. And he was like, yeah, okay, why don't you come in? I was like, all right. Of course, he already knew the story, right? My mom, love her to pieces, but she's going to tell everybody the story, okay? Anybody that's met her, she's going to tell you. And so I go in, and I'm like, well, you already know. I'm a horrible mess up. I'm a screw up. And, honestly, I just want out of here. And he was like, cool. That's awesome. And he was very nice to me. And we talked about it, and I said, I'm just so miserable. I'm so miserable. All this carnage I've caused. But then you add on, before I even did this, my husband and I were just, we couldn't figure out marriage. We couldn't figure out each other because Well, to be honest, we didn't even have time to figure out each other, right? The life just had not allotted for it, and we just didn't do well managing it either. And I was like, there's just so much hurt and so much pain, and I'm just tired. And he was like, yeah, so I'm just going to be brutally honest with you. And I was like, okay. He goes, I just think maybe you've really just walked away from the Lord and you've shut your heart to him, and maybe you need to ask him back in. And I was offended. I was like, and who are you to tell me that you think that I don't have a relationship with God? Any joker could look at my life and see I didn't have a relationship with God, right? But call me out on it, and that was just rude, okay? And I was so offended. And he was like, yep, so I'm going to go get some coffee and let you think about that. And he walked out of the room, and like a lightning bolt, I'm telling you guys, God's like, so are you ready? Are you ready to stop and just listen? Fall before me. And I fell in that little office in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, of this little tiny church. And I said, okay, God, I don't know how to fix this. I don't think it ever can be fixed. But if anybody's going to fix it, it's going to be you. And I rededicated my life right then and there, and perspective started to change. And I had to accept the pain I had given other people. I had to learn not to be ashamed of what I had done in my life. Obviously, have a repentful heart of it, but I had to learn to shed that shame that Satan was telling me, you are a horrible person. You are terrible. You can never come back from that. How could you? A soldier's wife cheating? Oh, they're the worst of the worst. Like, they are scum. That's what you are. You have a red letter on you that says A, and everybody knows. I heard it all the time in my head. And so slowly, God just started chiseling that away, right? He started working. He started putting amazing, like Kim in my life, to just speak truth in me, to be so transparent and real and call me out when it hurt, to lead me when I just wanted to give up. And my father called me and he said, so there's a change, huh? I said, yeah. And he goes, well, it's obvious for 6 months that you've been trying to run. I was like, really? He goes, oh, yeah, I've seen it. He was like, 6 months. I give you 6 months, put your whole foot in your marriage, work on it, no excuses. And he said, if it's still terrible, and my father is 100% like, he was not for me getting divorced, right? And absolutely no way. But he was like, I'll come get you. I'll pick you up. But you got to show me 6 months of work. And so I was like, okay, God, show me how to love him again. Show me how to forgive myself. How can I look in my kids' eyes again? My kids were little. They didn't know the difference, but I knew. I knew every time I look in their little faces. And that was a progress. It was a progress, and it was time, and it was people discipling me, taking time with me, being honest with me, sharing me real truth that I could understand, I could question, I could walk through, and they were walking daily life. So ladies, that's literally just the beginning of my story. It goes crazy from there on out. FYI, I did not cheat on my husband anymore. I've been with him for the rest of the time, but it goes crazy. There's a million things that happened from that point on. But that's where my passion came. That's where Jesus convicted me. Go minister with women and share with them. Be truthful and honest and real, and show them how to walk with me in everyday life when it's not pretty, when it's ugly, when it's hard. And so that's what beautiful chaos is. That's where God brought it. That's where it started. And that's what I want to share with you. That's what these leaders want to share with you. They've made a commitment to be honest and real and transparent with you. And I hope that you can open your hearts, let down the facade of whatever you're carrying that you don't think you can talk about, and share and walk through it and see how transforming it can be. What a bolder person for God you can be. Because when we let it go, that pride, that shame, whatever it is, God then can use us in spectacular ways. You will connect with people like you have never connected before. So I hope that this brings you back coming next week and the next week and the next week. And I hope you bring your friends. And I hope that you see that this is what we hope to give you every single week. real, transparent, honest discipleship. That you can go home and now in your community, in your workspace, in your neighborhood, in your home, everywhere, and be a disciple for Christ. Now, I went 5 minutes over, and I know this, and I'm sorry. But before I break for you all to have your yummy